What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Pirelli Studios. Who is as excited as I am about the Diglett Pokemon dioramas that me and my daughter are going to begin building? Now, I've already posted technically a part 1 in this series where I'm asking the question, is the Diglett Pokemon a worm or is it a mole? Now, you can go back and reference that video. I will link it below. And as I finish out this series, I'll go back to all of the previous videos and I will post all of the links for all of the segments of these videos in the description. We're going to actually build 3 dioramas. In the description that I had described in the first video where I'm talking about how design ideas, how I like to create it, skin texture and things like that, I described a few different ways, and we're actually going to run through quite a few of these. The very first one we're going to do is, what if Diglett was a worm? Not just a worm or the cartoon version, but an actual realistic worm. So we're going to actually sculpt Diglett as a physical earthworm. It's going to look wonky, it's going to look a little squelchy, but we're going to see how it turns out. So the very first video of this is going to be the actual, is Diglett a worm or a mole? Video number 2 is where we're going to actually create Diglett as a worm. Video number 3 is going to be where we're going to be painting and epoxying that actual earthworm Diglett. And video number 4 is where we're going to be creating an actual cartoon version of Diglett. And that's the one that most people are actually familiar with. During some of these other processes of designing these other out-of-the-box type of Digletts, more realistic, weird versions that I have in my head, my daughter continuously comes back at me and says, that doesn't look like a Pokemon Diglett, Dad. So she hassled me for quite a while. So we're going to actually create a cartoon version as well. And that will also allow me to engage her in the creation, the clay, and having fun with the painting. So that will be video number 4. Video number 5 is where we'll be detail painting that. Video number 6 in this is going to be a little bit of a turn. If you think of Diglett as a mole with maybe just below the grade of the dirt, little hands or little claws, because he does have the scratch effect, which I mentioned in video number 1. I'm going to create him in just a wonky, creepy, weird mole version where he's going to have some claws that come out from underneath the folds of his wrinkly, kind of like a naked mole rat type of skin. He's going to have like little beady eyes and little ports for his ears. So he's just going to be really creepy, a little weird. I'm going to make him look really like kind of paled out compared to his usually brown. I want to make each color tone a little bit different. Maybe the earthworm will be slightly maybe darker. The cartoon version will be more of a little bit more of a red tinge, perhaps earth color, maybe a red dirt color. And then I want the earth, the mole version to be more of a paled out, like a raw sienna type of look. So we'll see how it goes. Each one of these will include its own actual mole hole base that it sits into. I'm going to sculpt each one of them individually in different ways, and I want to sculpt them so they look differently as well. That will be the final video in the series, and then I'll do like a little showcase of all of the 3 in a line or something just fun for them to be all kind of collected together. So this is going to be quite a long series in the actual Diglett Pokemon release. Of course, I could just do the cartoon version, but we're actually going to just create just an entire little series out of it. And then once I get these knocked out and I have these videos sitting there waiting to be uploaded over time, maybe weekly perhaps, then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and start the next Pokemon, which will take a poll on TikTok. So if you don't follow me on TikTok, make sure you do so. Make sure you hit the subscribe button here. Let's go ahead and roll into video number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, whichever you're watching, because I may use this little clip over and over again because it gives such a good description of the overall series. But otherwise, if you skip this, that's okay too. Let's get into the content. Alright everybody, so welcome back into Pirelli Studios. Let's get into the content here. Now for this very first build that we're going to do for the Diglett Pokemon series here, I want to create Diglett as a earthworm. So again, this is video number 2 in this little small series. And what I'm going to use here is just a 15-ounce little pint cup. It is a technically a hog tumbler or hog cup. It does not have a lid or a top that comes with it, so this is more so a diorama as far as just using the
the stainless steel cup just as a base instead of using like a aluminum foil as like a blocking in below the clay. I went ahead and rolled out a bunch of little balls of clay here, and we're just going to roll them out on our workstation here, and we're just going to slowly wrap them around the cup. You'll notice that I start to work from the top, the bottom to the top, upside down there, just so that these don't roll down the cup because of the taper of the cup. So I'll just kind of layer these in. I'm kind of just mushing them a little bit against the cup and kind of pushing them against the layer above them, or well, below them technically. And we're just going to go all the way down the cup here. And then once I get about halfway and I know that clay is not going to be shifting and moving around, I'll flip it back over here, and then I'll continue all the way up to the top there. So I want this to look very organic. I want it to look like an earthworm. You know, an earthworm would like extend and contract its body, you know, as it moves around. I'm pretty sure that everybody on here has earthworms where they're at, depending on what size or variation they are. So it really doesn't have to be any specific type or anything. And I know the clay, raw as it is, does not really bring out the details that I have in my head quite yet, but it is pretty cool. I'm also applying a larger roll of clay around one side. I just want to create just a little bit of depth there, and then kind of thin it out on the other side so that it looks like the worm might be like shifting or like worming in a particular way or shifting in a different way. So some of the little wrinkles of his body would be kind of extending up further, whereas the other ones would be contracting on the other side. So it's just something small, but I'm just trying to add some variation to it. So it's just not just the same thickness all the way up. So the topper, I'm thinking, is going to come up and then kind of just swooping over the edge a little bit, but we'll see how we develop that here in a little bit. So we're going to begin the process of just blending each individual wrinkle or roll of clay into the other. There is a small air gap in some places there, but that's not a big deal. It doesn't weaken it whatsoever. We just want to make sure that this looks like it's all one body, so we need to blend each individual wrinkle through the process. It's a very simple build overall. It just takes a little bit of time just to get each and every layer, blended, added on, blended in, and then get it looking pretty good. So this is the video number 1 in this series. I'm truly excited. So the next video in this series, we will be painting this. Probably I'm gonna do like a dark earth ground, maybe like a dark, maybe a raw umber perhaps. Or a burnt umber. We'll see which color tone I go with. And then later on in the series, I'm going to make a cartoon version. I do want that to be more of a reddish tone, like the cartoon, anime or the Pokemon cards. So this is going to be a dark earth color, and I just want it to look very organic when I get completely done with the entire painting and detailing process. So if you do like this kind of content, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you smash that like, and then also leave comments below whether you like this project, whether the video is too long, too short, and what kind of projects you would like to see in the future. So you can kind of see here in real time, this does take quite a bit of time just to kind of blend out. This is one of those projects that you can kind of do in front of the TV if you wanted to on like a food tray. It really doesn't need a lot of tools. It's just a silicone tip tool just to blend all that in. So now what I want to do is I'm playing with the idea of adding a nose. So I do want it to be recognizable as a Diglett in some ways. So for me, the only two things I can really bring into that is the kind of the bulbous nose and the eyes. So what I think I'm going to do is we're going to add just like a nose on one side here, and I think I'm kind of going to blend the edges of it up, and then as it goes up into the top and over it'll kind of look like it kind of looks like one piece. I want it to look like one piece, but the nose would be blended in to a large band that goes around just the top rim of this portion of the cup. So we'll see how that goes, and then I'm just going to continuously add small striations along the way, but we're going to go ahead and blend out the nose, and we'll see what it looks like. So I've kind of rolled out the clay here, and I've kind of smoothed it out a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of just push that into place. It's not supposed to be super duper recognizable, but I just want you to be able to see that, hey, look, there is possibly just a larger, let's not say nose in this version of Diglett. Let's just say it's a large, a large banded wrinkle maybe. You know, some earthworms have a larger band across the upper fourth of their body. I can't remember what the name of that band is, and maybe where like there's organs or sensors or something. I do not know. Maybe somebody can leave a comment below. What is the thicker portion of the band of an earthworm called? So I'm just kind of blending that into the existing wrinkles, kind of making it look like that it's already there. It's part of the body, and it's nothing that's just out of sorts and out of place. So the next portion of this part of the build here is we're going to go ahead and hit this with a very, very, very generous layer of alcohol, rubbing alcohol that is, and this kind of softens the exterior of the Sculpey original, and it's going to allow us to kind of shift it around, blend out any imperfections, any kind of scratches or wrinkles or just problem spots, and it just gives it a really nice smooth surface. But not just that, I'm using a very coarse brush here, and it does leave a very good kind of a texture behind, like a brush texture, and I think that's just a really cool feature. And if I can go horizontally with the existing wrinkles, it just kind of accents those a little bit more. It's just the small things. A lot of this will kind of get washed out with the painting process, but I think it's just kind of nice and a nice effect. So just going to blend out any last imperfections there that I see along the way, and I'm just going to add a few small scratches between the wrinkles. Perhaps it's got like micro wrinkles between the larger ripples of the earthworm skin, and I just want to kind of give it a little bit of variation, so that way if I do sink like a darker wash into the recesses between the wrinkles before I go over the tops of the wrinkles with more of a lighter shade, then I have something to settle some of those washes and darker colors into. I don't really do this a whole lot. I just do it a little bit, kind of blend it in, smooth out the tops of those wrinkle ridges. But you can see there, it kind of just brings out a little bit of the detail just around the nose, around some of the wrinkles there, and it's just something small. Now along the way, I did get tired of adding each kind of scratch one at a time, so I did shift over to my wire tool here, and it kind of just expedited the process overall. It's a little bit more messy just because my wires are kind of going all over the place, and but it's still giving the same effect. It's just a little bit more wild as compared to just a single needle tool, adding each scratch one at a time, which does take longer, but you're more controlled. Alright, so with that complete, we're going to go ahead and just roll it between our hands there, and that's just kind of pushing any air bubbles underneath the wrinkles themselves kind of downward. It's kind of just smoothing the top ridges of the wrinkles. So now I'm going to go ahead and kind of blend the very top rim there. I do add a little bit more clay there at the very, very top where it's making contact with the rim of the actual stainless steel, just to kind of maybe, clean that up, make it a little more professional. And at this point, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go around the bottom of the cup with another wrinkle or not. I decided not to on this one. I decided to kind of keep it simple because it is going to have a base that sits under it, but the base won't be till later in the the series. So although we're going to see what the worm looks like here as a completed sculpture, we're not going to see the base until later on in the series. So you'll have to stay tuned for that later on. So I went ahead and just added some stuff. Yes, those are one of my children's Cheerio packs. We use what we have to fill things in. In a perfect world, I would have had like a bunch of rice that I could have poured in there, but we use what we got. I added aluminum foil onto it in a few layers there just to give me a buffer between the topper that I'm going to create from scratch and the actual stainless steel itself and the existing sculpture of the tumbler. I'm going to bulk out just a little bit of aluminum foil here. You really don't have to. If you want it to be a little bit heavier weight, then you can just kind of leave it as is. But I decided to use aluminum foil instead of the armature wire, just because of the shape and the general composition of the topper itself. Now this is generally the same process, so this is going to be moving so much faster than previously. I believe this is at 12 times speed, and I'm adding a lot more thick wrinkles right here at the very beginning, and then they're slowly going to go up curve, and then they're going to get smaller and smaller and smaller as they go to the tip of the topper there. And I'm going to kind of give it just a little bit of a sharp point. Not per se like a claw or anything like that, but it'll be the same tone, but the texture is going to be a little bit different at the tip of the worm there. And I decided to go ahead and kind of lean that over a little bit there. I just wanted to have a little bit of a worm-like texture, and I thought, hey, if a worm is kind of sticking up out of the ground, it'd be kind of wiggling back and forth, and then maybe it'd be searching its way back to the ground or trying to feel for the earth again, perhaps. Or if you you pick a worm up and you hold it in this hand, it's like it's twirling in your fingers and moving around a whole lot. The tip of the worm would be feeling and searching for earth in all sorts of directions. So because he's going to be coming out of a mole hole that we're going to make, he would be going up at an upward trajectory and then kind of just leaning over. So the same process, we're going to go ahead and blend this in here, and then we're going to hit it with the alcohol ink as well before we go ahead and add just some simple wrinkle eyes, and then we will be almost done with this portion of this process. Alright, so for these, I decided not to put actual physical eyes in. I just decided to put a few just wrinkles. We're just going to kind of frame those in, just give them a little bit of shadow and some depth, and we're just going to give the impression of wrinkly eyes. And then, of course, each of the Diglets that I create over the next few weeks will have their own different designs and eyes. So I just wanted to keep these kind of blended with the body. The nose is kind of wrinkly or blended with the wrinkles, and the eyes are kind of blended as well. And we just have a little bit of recess there for some darker tones of browns, or maybe some darker blacks or some pain gray perhaps. Again, I hope y'all really are enjoying this content. I really do enjoy making it. Make sure you definitely check out the rest of the series as it's released. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to see future Pokemons or more dioramas or Tumbler builds in the future. I really look forward to putting out more content for you guys. Otherwise, sit back. We're going to go ahead and hit this with an oven bake at 275 for around 15 to 30 minutes. And then we're going to go ahead and get some glamour shots. I really do hope y'all enjoyed this video. Again, this is video number 2 in the Pokemon Diglett diorama series, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video where we'll be painting this amazing item. I'll catch you guys later.